It's a Cam's Ivy interview presented by Peak Performance, and going to be doing it with, of course, Alpha Prime team owner, Mr. Tommy Joe Martins here. And so I'll get started here. Can you tell the fans who you are and when you got started in racing?
Uh, yeah, I got started in racing when I was, oh boy, when I was really young, when I was probably 5 or 6, I'm going to say. My dad got me a go-kart and I crashed, and then we didn't race anymore. And then we got another go-kart when I was 12, and then it got stolen. And so then I didn't race anymore. And then we got another go-kart when I was 16. And then that time it stuck. And then I started racing a little bit more. Actually went to college, stopped racing, and then got into it again in the middle of college, racing sports cars. And then kind of from there, we stayed in it. Late models and kind of up the ranks, up to the NASCAR level. And never really had a lot of money to go racing with, which is kind of the main thing that I think everybody gets a lot of concerns about. So what we had to do is kind of figure out our own way to do it. So we owned our own equipment. We had enough money to basically buy a car, and then we would just kind of figure out some people to volunteer and work on it and kind of do our own teams, right? We didn't have a lot of money to take to a team to go racing. So that was kind of the genesis of all of us in Martins Motorsports, and kind of the history of me racing and Alpha Prime Racing. Alpha Prime Racing is really my partner, Cesar Baccarella, who came in when my dad, Craig Martins, stepped away from Martins Motorsports. So like he bought in, we grew the company now to where it's a multi-car team. And that happened in 2022. And before that, it was me racing. It was really what Martins Motorsports was. It was a small team, and it's still a very small team in Alpha Prime Racing, but we've grown quite a bit from where we were.
That is rough. You crashed and then it got stolen. Like, the chances of that happening, that's be like a rare chance of that happening. So that's gotta really suck there.
Yeah, I think it was probably a little too early for me, if I'm being honest. I was scared to death. So when I got on a go-kart when I was 5 or 6, I crashed, and then I was scared of it. And so I rode the brakes the whole way around the racetrack. And I think my dad just said, you know what, I think this might be a little too soon. And then we went back and did it again when I was 12. I was actually okay. We didn't know anything. We had never done it really before. And stored the go-kart with somebody there in Memphis, Tennessee, which is kind of around the area where I'm from. And it got stolen. And it was like, all right,
man, that's crazy. This guy's like, why me? Why?
Yeah. He's like, all right, well, I guess back to basketball or something.
And so, speaking on like your origins about racing and everything, what was it about racing that just first captured your heart and made you love the whole entire sport so much?
I don't know what it was, because my parents told me, like, nobody in my family has ever really raced. Like, I was the first person to ever really get into this. And I fell in love with it when I was really a little kid, like really before I could probably even talk. Like my parents said that I would watch drag racing videos and stuff like on television. This is in the old days here, Cam. This is a little before you. We had VHS tapes, and we had just a regular television set with an antenna.
I mean, we sort of had those when I was very young. We had DVD players. We had those.
This is before then. We couldn't record anything. There was no saving anything. So we got my dad figured out, I think, and my mom, they figured out that I liked watching drag racing. Really was the thing that I liked. I like watching drag racing. And so they got VHS tapes of that, and they would play it, and then I would go to sleep, and that's what I would stay up watching. I wanted to play with cars and toy cars, and I wanted to be on a bike or anything with wheels on it. And it's just something I was always kind of fascinated with. And then they took me to a drag race when I was pretty young. Same thing. Wanted to get the toys, wanted to meet all the people that were kind of my heroes at the time, which was like, these are people that I'm not sure if you know or not, but Kenny Bernstein and Joe Amato and Eddie Hill and some of these old race, John Force.
Yes.
Some of the old racers. And those were the guys that I really liked. And then, as far as the NASCAR side of it, I can't really tell you exactly when that happened. I went to an Atlanta race because my grandmother lived there.
Uh-huh.
And this was the old Atlanta configuration when it was
Yeah.
just the oval. It wasn't a tri-oval. And NASCAR was very different back then. The access, it was it was like going to a local short track. Really, I mean, you could walk right up to the outside catch fence if you wanted to. You could do whatever you wanted to do.
Wow.
And I walked up to the fence, and it was Darrell Waltrip was doing a qualifying run. I'll never forget this. And he came by and blew a bunch of rubber and stuff all over my face. And I was like, all right, this is pretty cool right here. And I think from that moment on, I just NASCAR racing and being in something where I felt like the
Yeah.
driver, like drag racing is really about the car and the setup. And the
Uh-huh.
driver, it takes a lot of bravery to do that. And oh my gosh, I mean, the way those guys process things so fast, and girls. But there was something about NASCAR racing at the time when I was watching it where I was like, wow, the
Mhm.
driver is making a big difference here. And I wanted to be, racing something where I felt like I could make more of an input.
Yeah, I went to a drag race, something like 2023 or 22. And someone like I do like my origin story when it comes to racing. It started out just like you, like I always, but instead I watched more NASCAR and IndyCar
Yeah.
and the oval racing. So that's how I got started there. So definitely very similar. Like my mom and dad, they didn't even know racing like NASCAR racing was really exist. Like I mean, they knew who like probably knew who like Dale Earnhardt was, but
Yeah.
they haven't ever seen like a race in real life. And then I came along and now everyone in my family pretty much watches racing. Like we had a family event and my dad and then we're playing dominoes and we had a NASCAR race, but I feel like if I wasn't there, that wouldn't be happening. And then speaking on that drag racing, I went to the drag racing event in Vegas. Oh my God, it was so surprising. Oh,
Yeah.
we weren't prepared.
Yeah.
It was
The loudest
that
thing in the world.
drag racing is nuts, man.
Yeah.
The
I,
cars,
I
everything, it was
actually, so
wow.
this is like hot take here, Cam, but like I actually think drag racing for the people that are, if you're just trying to get somebody into motorsports and you're just like, hey, you need to go to races. I actually
Hmm.
think drag racing is probably the first place I would take someone just because it is so spectacular to watch and it's very short.
Hmm.
Um, and you can walk around and explore a whole lot. And there's racing going on the whole time. That's what a lot of people don't understand about drag racing is they're like, oh man, well, there's only, it only lasts 4 seconds. It's like, no, no, no. They're racing cars all day. When you go
Yeah.
to an
Hmm.
NHRA race, these are national events with all types of different cars and classes.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on. And I just think it's a great atmosphere, and I think it's a lot of fun to take people to it.
Yeah, when it went like I felt the whole entire shaking and earthquake, and it was louder than I expected there. So
Oh yeah,
right,
it's the
yeah,
loudest thing in the world.
like you knew it was loud, but you didn't like but when you went to the event, like when you were there, oh my God, me and my dad were blown away. It is insane what they do. And like you said, they do races like all day. Like they'll start off with like the dragsters and they'll go to funny cars. And then like they do racing like all day. And so you're right about that.
Nonstop.
Yeah, all nonstop. And so my next question is going to be, I know you touched on earlier about going from that driver to a team owner. So can you talk about what that transition was like going from a driver racing around race to race here and there to now being a full-time team owner with you and Mr. Cesar Varkela in for Alpha Prime? Can you talk about what that was like going from a driver to the team owner?
Yeah, I think ultimately it was easier for me because I've always kind of been the team owner. Like
Mm-hmm.
I drove for myself, a lot of my life, and I drove for my dad, right? So I mean, it was
Yeah.
our family that was involved. So I think I always took things pretty hard and put a lot of pressure on myself to not just do well or succeed or overachieve, but also kind of taking care of equipment and
Mm-hmm.
the cost if we got in wrecks and other things happened. Um, and I always knew that my mistakes would basically wind up hurting my family
Yep.
ultimately financially. And I think that's a feeling that a lot of people that are racing, especially at lower levels, I think that's what they feel, right? Like that person that's racing a late model at a local short track or a Legends car or whatever it is, the thing they're worried about most of the time is the money. I mean, they're worried about money. They don't want to wreck. It's why you see so much emotion at that short track level because they feel like they have a lot on the line all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the way it was for me. And the thing about it that was the biggest difference, Cam, was like it went from as the driver, I felt like I always had input.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I always could control what was happening, whether you could or you couldn't, right? Like you get in a wreck,
Uh-huh.
something happens that you can't. I mean, everybody's that's driven a race car understands there's a lot that is not in your control. Uh, but at the same time, I felt like when I was the one holding the steering wheel, there was a lot that I could kind of make up for, right?
Yeah.
Other people's mistakes, I could cover them up. And as a team owner, it's a very different feeling because you're putting people in a position, hopefully, to succeed, right? And so you're very
Right.
happy when they do well, and you feel a lot of responsibility when they don't, and because you've put them in this position, and so it's constantly asking, what more could I be doing?
Yeah.
Even though sometimes it's just bad luck or the driver stinks or whatever it is, but there's this constant battle that I have over, did I really give everybody the best chance to succeed? And I think very often for people that are critical of themselves, I think you find out there's more that you could be doing, right? And so
Right.
that's kind of been the thing that I've as you're kind of managing people and as you're running a company, that's what I've really dove into more. Whereas before, when I was also driving, it was like,
Yeah.
well, here's this, but also it's okay because I'm going to make up for a lot of it. And it's like, it's just not necessarily how it goes. Like generally, if there's a flaw somewhere, it's going to get brought up or noticed, and people are going to have trouble.
Okay. And so speaking on that team, that like full-time team owner aspect, can you just walk us through the fans on like if there's any like kind of must-do list of what a team owner has to do to prepare week for week with finishing a race out and then preparing for the race next week? Is it like just like the must-see things that you want the fans to know about what that experience is like?
Ooh, the must-dos. I would say the must-dos mostly wind up on the crew. I think that the ultimate job of the owner here is to make sure that everyone has a job.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is we got to collect the money, right? We got to have sponsors. We got to have contracts with drivers. We got to have contracts with our mechanics. We got to make sure that everything is up and running. Do we have a truck and trailer that works that'll transport the car to the racetrack?
Uh-huh.
Do we have the engines? Do we have our parts? Do we have all the tools that are necessary for our crews and our drivers to be able to do their job, right?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, right? So in a lot of ways, all of our work is happening kind of away from the racetrack. And
Uh-huh.
then by the time we get to the racetrack, it's all those people that we just talked about, right? It's the driver, it's the spotter, it's the crew chief and the mechanics
Engineers.
and the engineers, and they're all doing their job, right? But like
Yeah.
our job as the owner or as the manager of a team is to just make sure they have everything that they need and then they go, right? So like I would tell you
Mhm.
that our, generally during the week, that's what we're doing is we're doing more, honestly, doing more
Yeah.
paperwork and phone calling than you're doing
Mhm.
anything else.
So it's definitely a little bit more of a manager-esque style, making sure
Yeah.
everyone's able to do their job and prepare and make sure that everything's set up so that way once you finish a race, all right, let's get this all set up and let's head out to the next one.
Yeah. And I tell you that I enjoy strategy
Mm-hmm.
and race specific and track specific stuff. And I really like to go over that with drivers and crew chiefs. And that's just something that I enjoy because I always was on these really small teams where I felt like I had to do a lot of the legwork on that and understand
Mm-hmm.
trends and cautions and fuel mileage and stuff. Cause there was times where just quite frankly, nobody was thinking about it, right? They're so busy worried about building the car uh,
And,
that we're not thinking about the big
yeah.
picture, right? So
Uh-huh.
I like to think about that kind of stuff too, and I do a little bit of race week prep with the drivers and the crew chiefs and strategy and explaining my thoughts on how I think the race is going to play out, and based on how it plays out, here are our strategy options, and I
Mm,
enjoy that, I really do.
yeah. And so definitely the strategy part as well, especially as the years go on, you see a lot of stuff, a lot of strategy, and not just like in NASCAR, but in almost like every single sport. There's always going to be like a strategy and preparation, whether it comes to like film preparations for how you're going to like play the game or how the race is going to play out. Like that's something that's really relatable to me. And I'm sure a lot of people who play sports in general, like in sports in general, you're always going to be in this strategy as part of making sure that everything goes well. So that's definitely really relatable there of stuff that you do prepare for the week for not just yourself, but with the team as well. So that way you can have the best results when it's game day, race day, and all those things like that.
Yeah, what's interesting about our sport too, Cam, is you're talking about um, comparing it to other sports. And I really like comparing our sport to other sports. I'm not like a lot of people. I just think it's a little different in the sense that, like, and in other sports, right, you have your team, the team that you're on, and you go play other teams individually. You play against one team, you go play against another team, you go play against another team. And at the end of the year, you've played against all the teams, and they go, oh, well, that is the best team. Every team plays every team,
Yeah.
and then we see who the best team is, right?
Mhm.
And that makes sense. The thing for us is, like, we're playing every team all the time, every week. The only thing
Mhm.
that's different is the tracks that we go to, right? And
Right.
that becomes the challenge, is we're preparing a race car and preparing our team for how this race is going to play out. All the same people, right? All the same
Uh-huh.
teams that we're racing against.
Mhm.
Um, but how is this track going to make it different? And that's why so many of us were advocating for more of a full season points format and everything, because we just said, hey, like, the challenge for us should be, we're racing the same people every week. How do we do with each one of these different tracks being the real difference?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it. And so, kind of looking towards into like kind of a future S aspect of it. I know that Alpha Prime, it got started up very recently with the whole rebrand and everything like that in 2022. So can you talk about like where in the future you want Alpha Prime to be in racing, like in the next few years? Because I know Alpha Prime's been growing. Now you have multiple car teams as well with the Bar and the 45 and Brennan Poole and the 44. So can you just talk about like how you want Alpha Prime to just grow as a team within the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think we're going to probably always be small, right? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, the owner decides the scale of the team, right? Rick Hendrick, I think he's doing pretty well for himself. He's going to probably have a pretty big team, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think Tommy Joe Martins and Caesar, I think we're still going to have a small team. So ultimately, I don't think that's going to change. The thing that we always want to be, Cam, is competitive, and I feel like we can do that. I think we've been as competitive as we've ever been as a race team, with top tens and top fives and finishing in the top 20 of the driver points. And I think we understand at the front of our field in the O'Reilly series. Uh, I mean, those are great, really big organizations, right? I don't expect Alpha Prime to turn into Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen. Um, but what I do think is that we can be one of those next teams. Um, you take all those cup affiliated teams and all that stuff right there, and then you go, okay, who's the next group? Who's the group that's contending for top tens every week? And I look at, Parker Retzlaff when he drove for our team last year, and now he's at Viking Motorsports and he's having a great year. Brennan
Uh-huh.
has gotten off to a great start. I think Brennan right now is 12th in points. He's right there around the chase
Mhm.
cutoff right now. And so, like, if we're one of those teams, Cam, and we're giving opportunities to drivers where we say, hey, we might not have every resource, but if we maximize and we're as good as we can be one of those teams that makes the chase. You can be one of those drivers that's a
Yeah.
top 12 driver. And man, I mean, that would be a tremendous ceiling for our team. And I think that's what we want to be every year.
Okay. And then um I know there was an announcement made a couple weeks ago about your new president of Alpha Prime, Mr. Josan Hamilton. So can you talk about what kind of opportunity does that bring in? I know we're talking about the future, but what kind of opportunity does that bring in for the future of your team, bringing Josan in, and how does his presence, do you think, will help bring Alpha Prime to that next level you were talking about?
Yeah, I think it's about establishing more on the business side here, Cam, right? So, like,
Mhm.
there's two sides of the racing team.
Yeah.
One is the business, one is the competition.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, those two things don't always get along. Like, they really don't, because the competition, always just says, well, we got to be better. We got to be faster. We've got to push it. We got to do more. And the business is usually the thing that goes, well, we can't because we can't afford that. Right.
Mhm.
So ultimately those two things are joined, and they're always kind of having a war with each other, because you're like, gosh, maybe if we did this thing, we'd be a little bit faster, but also I I got to make sure that everybody has enough money to eat. I got
Yeah.
to make sure he has a job. I got to make sure that we can pay all of our bills and all of our suppliers and all the other people that depend on us. So like Jason's job when he comes in here day one, and he's been so great, he understands that he's got more of a background in business. He has been
Mhm.
very involved in NASCAR, right? He's been the race director for NASCAR. He understands the garage. He doesn't understand what we're doing week to week on the competition side, right? Where do we get our
Right.
engines from? The mechanics on our team. What is our process for going to a racetrack? Where do we get our pit crews? Like all that stuff that's kind of on the competition side. Just sounds learning that. And the
Mhm.
thing he's done a great job of when he's come in right off the jump is understand the racing business as a whole and our place in it. He knows it's a small team. He wants to create more streams of revenue for us to be able to grow kind of our pile of money to where
Uh-huh.
that will feed into the competition side and hopefully be able to make us a little bit better. And I think
Yeah.
at the same time, like he's got a great reputation in the garage area, very well
Mhm.
respected.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think, more than anything, for me, as somebody that's been doing this now, because I've thought about it, I'm 39 now, which is not young anymore. So I've been doing it for a while, man. Like I've been doing this since really 2008
Yeah.
ish, that I've been racing sports cars or ARCA or late models or something, right? Like I
Right.
raced the truck series in 2016. I raced what was then I believe it was still the nationwide series in 2014. And that
Mhm.
was my first time in that. And so like, even if it was part-time or whatever, I've been kind of hustling after this thing, man, for a really long time. And
Mhm.
um, I'm a believer that like ultimately you kind of reach the plateau of where you're going to be
Yeah.
probably a little sooner than you think. And I think it's really good for a business and for any kind of team to have some turnover and to bring in new people and have new ideas. And Jason's a part of that. And I think we've been really blessed on the team side. We've had so many great young mechanics and drivers come through our team over the years. You look at it, like somebody said it the other day to me, we've had 28 drivers in the history of Alpha Prime Racing, 28.
Mhm.
And many of them are still racing right now. Um, like I think Raja Karuth was the first person we ever signed at Alpha Prime Racing, and he has obviously gone on to great
Yep.
success and is doing great. Stephen Parsons, Ryan Ellis is still racing. He was one of the first people we signed. Sage Karam. I mean, you're talking about people that have kind of come through our program, been on the other side of it now, that are still having great career. And I'm leaving off a bunch of people. Leland Honeyman got his really kind of his first real taste of racing at this level with our team. And like it's just a lot of really good people that have come through. We've got a car chief at Hendrick now that started with our team, and we've got engineers at Joe Gibbs Racing that started with our team, and multiple people in the Cup Series that are mechanics. So like I think ultimately what we're saying here, Cam, is like when you bring in someone like Jason, yeah, I'm trying to just basically put him in a position where he can learn from me and the things that I've learned, but really he's going to have his own ideas about how things need to go and how things need to look. And I'm trying to do my best of trying to like give him the room to make the team his own team. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a little different than how Tommy Joe Martins ran things. And I think naturally everybody's a little worried about that. And then it's like, yeah, but also this guy's really smart. Like Jason's really smart and he's going to get it and he's going to start putting it together. And
Yeah.
and the one thing that I will always say, and I'll say this about race car drivers like yourself, or the people that are running these teams, when you're in a leadership position, So like me owning the team, or really more so than owning the team, Cam, because I was the president and I ran all the day-to-day operations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're the president, or when you're the crew chief, or when you're the driver in the stuff that we do, you have to be the most locked in person at all times. You have to care the most about everything that's happening. The crew chief has to care the most about anything on that car. Nobody else on the crew is going to care as much as the crew chief cares, right?
Right.
If the crew chief says it's okay, then it must be okay. So the crew chief has to be the one that cares the most. The driver has to care the most, right? If
Right.
you feel like something's going on with the car, something's not right, you have to be like, no, I'm telling you,
Stay.
this is what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like this
Stay.
is what it
This
is.
car feels like this. Change this.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we
Yes.
got to change it, right? You got to be passionate.
Mm-hmm.
You got to really care. And the president kind of has to be that way too, right? Where there's times where, I've been in arguments with crew chiefs and fights, and you're yelling at drivers, and you're fight, like, because like you have a point of view and you have to be really passionate about it. And I believe that.
Uh-huh.
And I think ultimately, like, you got to have somebody in all those positions that really, really, really cares the most. And I think right now, Jason jumping into this, man, he's really hungry for this opportunity. He really cares, and he really wants to make our team better. And I know that he's going to do the best job. And I'll tell you, Cam, like, it got to the point for me where I was just a little bit burned out and doing it every day. And I'm still there every weekend, and I'm there at the shop almost every day now. But I feel like I've been able to take a little bit of a step back and try to see more of the bigger picture, almost in a weird
Yeah.
way, right? Because like I think the president's supposed to see the big picture, but like I'm telling you, when you're in it every day and you're looking at it, you're looking at it, you're looking at it, you're looking at it, sometimes you miss stuff. It's good to get away from it for a second and kind of see the whole of it, right? And I think there's so many drivers and other people that you would interview that would say when they've taken a step back, or they've been out of the car for a minute and then they get back in the car, they're like, oh, I didn't notice that, or oh, I didn't, like, you
Yeah.
just kind of pick up stuff that you didn't notice. And I feel like I'm kind of having that experience right now. And I know that Jason is in it right now, and he's absorbing, and he's taking, every day, he's learning so much.
Uh-huh. And then speaking on, of course, new people that have come to Alpha Prime, of course, I wanted to talk about a good friend and of course your new driver, LeVar Scott, being on your team. And so can you talk about just what has been what has it like any interesting of anything interesting that you can tell the fans of what has been like to work with LeVar this year that the fans would find interesting about like what about like the type of driver he is and everything like that.
So the first thing that I would tell anybody about LeVar is he's one of the most positive kids I've ever been around. I think he is a terrific person. He is the type of person that makes the people around him, better. He
Mhm.
just he makes people on his team really care about him, and want to help him, and want him to do well, and want him to succeed. And I think that is so important for every race car driver, is to make the people around you feel connected to you in a way, and create a sense of belief. And I think
Mhm.
LeVar has done that. Like, I think, we asked LeVar at the beginning of the year, because we went to some really crazy races, right? We went to Daytona and Atlanta, and a road course at Circuit of the Americas. And, LeVar hasn't done a lot of road course racing. He hadn't really done a lot of speedway racing. And we basically said, hey, man, look, it's not that we don't believe in you, but we actually want you to take this a little easy and just try to miss the crashes here, and see if we can just get some good top 20, solid finishes.
Mhm.
And some drivers that have a lot more ego or a lot more pride would have probably pushed back and been like, no, man, I'm here to race, I'm going to the front. That's not what LeVar did. And he finished 16th at Daytona, ran a very conservative race. Wound up, really no fault of his own. There was just a big wreck that happened in front of him there at the end of the race in Atlanta, and he got in the middle of that. And then Coda, we were worried about it. I would tell you, on a team standpoint, we were kind of like, rookie driver, road course. This is going to take him a minute to get the hang of this. And he finishes 22nd and actually has a really good day and was pretty fast and qualified into that race on speed.
Hmm.
He adapts really quick, man. He's fearless, aggressive when he needs to be. He's smart. He cares about the equipment. He cares about the people on the team. Like I look at him at Darlington this weekend. We didn't get a very good finish. I think we finished 36th. But really, he missed the wreck that was in front of him, and then got ran over from behind. It really wasn't. It was just kind of some bad luck. But like in the moment, watching him, he was making passes on guys like JJ Yaley. He's making passes on um, the 21 car, Austin Hill, past him. Like he's doing some stuff where you almost kind of forget that it's only his sixth race with us, where we're like, man, this kid is pretty fast. And so, like, I think right now for him, the adjustment is obviously going from the ARCA car to our car. He's got to get a little bit of used to where the limits are in our car. Um, but man, fast for sure, fast.
Hmm.
And I think his best quality is that he is willing to go to other places that other drivers are not willing to go on the racetrack.
Hmm.
Whatever line, whatever lane we need to go to, he is unafraid to put the car wherever he needs to put it to make a pass, and has enough confidence in his own ability that he knows, like, if something goes wrong, I'm just going to catch it. And I'm telling you, man, that's something that's kind of hard to teach. Like for me, it took me a long time into my racing development before I was comfortable sticking a car up by the wall and just gassing it up four wide, and just, like, there's a level of aggression that I felt like I really had to work up to in my development. And man, LeVar's got it 6 races into this thing. He is unafraid. And I think he has impressed us all a ton with his preparation and his speed. He's in great shape, shows up ready to go every weekend. Like, I just think he's a pro race car driver. I do. And he's 22 years old. And I just think he's going to grow so much, Cam, over the course of this 1 year. Like I've told him, because he's mad right now because he's 32nd in the standings. And I'm like, I'm not really that worried about this. It's a couple bad races here or there. It's okay. Right. I'm just noticing the little rookie stuff. And it's
Hmm.
like, it's going to kind of click at some point. I told him, talk to me at race number 10, because I feel like the whole process is going to slow down for him. Like right now, these races are happening really fast, right? And everything's happening pretty fast. But and that's not just because like a sense of speed, right? It's not like the ARCA cars are slow. It's just things happen quicker in our races because the cars are a little harder to drive, and there's so much more competition. You're racing, like LeVar's never had to race this hard in his life for 28th. You know, like he's back there racing, Josh Balicki, and having to race really hard for 27th. And it's like that doesn't compare to the ARCA level. It just doesn't. There's not as many competitive cars. The field is a lot more spread out. And I just feel like it's going to take him a little adjustment at this level. And then I think he's going to be a really special race car driver.
Hmm. All right. Well, before we go, we do have a little bit of a fun question session for you as well. And so, what we have right here is a King on the Hill with a bunch of NASCAR legends. So, when this is going to go, we're going to start it with a certain driver, and he's going to get paired up with another NASCAR legend. And then you decide which NASCAR legend do you prefer. And then you go up from the rankings there. So, we're going
Okay.
to start here with Alan Kwiecki or Ron Hornaday.
Ooh, Kowecki.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're gonna go Cale Yarborough or Callan Kwiecki.
Dale Yarborough.
Okay, let's go Davey Allison or Cale Yarborough.
Ooh, see, this is a big debate here. I'm going to say Yarborough.
Ooh, I said Allison over Yarborough. That's surprising.
Yeah, I'm going to say Cale Yarborough. Yeah,
Okay, Bobby Labonte or Cale Yarborough.
Cale Yarborough. Yeah. And I love Labonte, but just to be clear, Labonte was like one of my guys when I was young, but I still think Cale. You're talking about a real tough customer there, Cale Yarborough.
Mm-hmm. So then Dale Dale Wattrip or Kelly Yarborough?
So now this is personal to me. I'm going to say Daryl Waltrip, but let me tell you why. All right. And I think it's up for debate, but I say Daryl Waltrip because he came from Nashville, and that was the first ever track that I really raced late models on was Nashville Fairgrounds. And so
Yeah.
being a Nashville guy, I'm considered one of the Nashville guys here in the NASCAR world. So like I'm going to stick with my guy, Daryl Waltrip.
All right. Well, see, we can stick him here because now we're into the main boy list here. So now it's Jeff Gordon or Dale Wattrip.
It's got to be Jeff Gordon.
All right. Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon.
Oh boy. So this is right. So now we're talking about me, right? We're talking about me ranking this.
Mm-hmm.
I personally understand why no one would ever say Jeff Gordon over Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt won 7 championships. Jeff Gordon did not. And that kind of becomes the debate, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm telling you, in my life, I never saw a better race car driver than Jeff Gordon. I never saw one. And this is in my era of fandom. I was born in 1986. I think Earnhardt kind of hit the end of his championship run when I was still pretty young. I think his last one was 92 or 3 or something like that, Cam. I can't remember. But Gordon at the time when I was growing up, right, when I'm your age and I'm watching this, it felt like Jeff Gordon and that 24 car won every week. It felt like they won every race. I think they had a season one year, Cam, where Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin won like 27 of the 36 races or something. I mean, it just felt like they won every week. So
wow. So,
I believe personally, if there was not a
championship
chase,
yep.
if there wasn't a chase, if there wasn't a playoff, if there wasn't all this other stuff, I believe that Jeff Gordon would have 7 championships, and I believe he would be everybody would be talking about him to be the GOAT. So I'm going to say, even though this is sacrilege to say, I'm going to say Jeff Gordon over Dale Earnhardt.
That is very surprising.
I know.
I think Jeff Gordon was very, very good in my opinion. And I mean, just from the stuff I've seen, of course, I would have probably said Earnhardt, but that is like one of the things on this list that like, oh wow. So next one we have will be Mr. 7-time Johnson himself or Jeff Gordon.
I'm gonna say Jeff Gordon. I'm gonna say Jeff Gordon. Sorry, guys.
Well, we reached the tippity top with this one, and I think you could probably have a guess of who's going to go up against Jeff next. So, we got to go with the King, 200 wins, 7-time champion versus Jeff Gordon. Who you got?
So again, I'm weird. It's Richard Petty. Richard Petty's the king. That's why they call him the king. You said this was a king of the hill thing, right? And then there's only one person's going to be at the top of the hill, and that's the king, Richard Petty.
All right. So Richard is at the top of the hill for you.
That's it. So my family grew up as Petty family. We were fans of the Pettys. And I cared about this as a young kid. Kyle Petty was my guy, and my dad he was pretty casual as a NASCAR fan, but he knew Richard Petty and he liked the family. And I really loved watching Adam race. And Adam was going to be my guy because Kyle was retiring and Adam was going to take his place. And so when Adam Petty passed away, that was obviously just so heartbreaking, right? So the idea of kind of following the Petty family, I've gotten to know Kyle a little bit, and I mean, there's only one king, and it's Richard Petty.
All right, no, as someone in my position, I have been in many NASCAR haulers as a journalist, and I hope one day maybe be an Alpha Prime hauler as well. Of course, better yet, maybe as a journalist, but maybe better yet, of course, racing for you guys. That would be awesome. But like I said, I've been in many haulers, and they always, even in the haulers that my team has, there is always a snack section. I don't know a single hauler that does not have a snack section. And so for you, as someone someone with Alpha Prime, what would be a must-have snack if it come to you, like out of every single batch of snacks? Because like there'll be other snacks, of course, but like what would be a must-have snack that has to be in that snack section?
Well, I gotta say the company line here is you gotta have the Prime Bites. You know, you gotta have the Prime Bites. That's the Alpha Prime supplements, Prime Bites. We have muffins, we got brownies, we got all kinds of stuff, and they're protein brownies, and they are so good, and they really are so good. The muffins, oh my gosh, incredible. All right, company line. Let me put that aside. The thing that I go for every time is peanut butter pretzels. They get them just for me. If anybody else eats them, I don't really even know about it. It's the same big canister of peanut butter pretzels, and it's just me slowly eating it over the course of a season. I don't even know that anybody else in the hauler even tries to eat them. But every time I walk by the thing, I'm getting a scoop full of them, Cam. So that's going to be my go-to.
So this is literal. So there's a literal like session of peanut butter pretzels that are just for you.
That is, it feels like I'm the only one that eats them. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me here. This was, I feel, a great interview to have with you. So I just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your day to talk to me and to come on the Kim's IV show. I had such a fun time talking with you and hearing about your story, and I can't wait to share it with the fans.